Country Road by James Taylor is going to be played in drop D tuning. What that means is you take your 6th string, which is typically at an E, and you lower it to a D so that your 6th string and your 4th string are the same note. One point to make real quick about these D chords. They're being played out of D chords. I usually make a D chord with my ring finger on the 2nd string 3rd fret, 2nd finger on the 1st string 2nd fret, and 1st finger on the 3rd string 2nd fret. But James Taylor inverts his 1st and 2nd fingers. He puts his 1st finger on the 1st string and puts his 2nd finger on the 3rd string. And that's kind of a wonky way to make this chord, but in the intro I make it this way because the hammer-ons and pull-offs that happen I think are easiest out of this formation, but eventually just out of habit I resort pretty quickly back to the typical D shape, and what you're doing can happen out of a typical D shape as well. So if you want to play it just like James Taylor though, put your ring finger on the 2nd string 3rd fret, put your 2nd finger on the 3rd string 2nd fret, and don't put your 1st finger down yet because the intro is going to use your 1st finger for a hammer-on. So this is being finger picked by the way as well. Strike the open 5th string with your thumb and then hammer on with your 1st finger to the 5th string 2nd fret. Then you're going to with your 1st finger hit the open 4th string, and then you'll hit your thumb on the low 6th string. After you get that, very slow, you'll then with your 2nd finger or ring fingers hit the open 1st string and let it kind of fall against the 2nd and 3rd strings as well that are fretted. After you hit the open 1st string, you'll then use your 1st finger on your left hand to hammer on to the 1st string 2nd fret. So you've got and that's the next part of it. So hammer on, hit the low 6th string, then hit the fretted 2nd string with your 1st finger, and then with your thumb hit the open 4th string. So that's after you get that, then you've got, so the way that you'll play that is out of your D chord, you're going to put your pinky finger down on the 1st string 3rd fret and strike across those strings. I'm plucking with my thumb the open 4th string, and then I'm using my 1st and 2nd fingers to strike up on strings 1 and 2. And then you'll pick up your pinky finger to expose where your 1st finger still is on the 1st string 2nd fret. Strike those chords, and then you'll pull off with your 1st finger to expose the open 1st string. Then you'll hit the 2nd string 3rd fret, and then you'll hit again just across the D chord with the open 1st string and hammer on with your 1st finger to the 1st string 2nd fret. That coming together very slowly is going like. Notice that I'm still letting my thumb carry the open 4th string D tone in that. One last time very slowly. Pinky down, pinky up, pull off with your 1st finger, 2nd string, pluck and hammer on. So we've got and then you're going to move to just one finger going to the second string first fret, first finger to the second string first fret, and you'll strike down with your thumb on the open fourth string again, and then up with your second and ring up with your first and second fingers and ring fingers on the lower strings of the guitar, the really higher strings 1, 2, and 3. And then you'll come up to a G chord. The way that you're going to make this G chord is second finger goes to the third string fourth fret, and then your first finger is going to bar across strings 1 and 2 on the third fret. And in this you can hit the low 6th string again, and James Taylor goes. The way that you're going to do that is after playing the G chord, you'll hit the open 6th string, you'll move with your ring finger to the 6th string 5th fret, and then you'll hit the open 5th string behind it before going back into the D progression. And this is where I usually, out of habit, go back to a standard D chord, like my standard shape D chord, but James Taylor, of course, goes back to his standard way of playing a D chord of the second time through, it just goes back to the C chord and then quickly to the G and then back to the D and does a little hammer on. The way that you do that hammer on is that you will hammer on with your first finger to the 5th string 2nd fret. I say hammer on, James Taylor actually doesn't hammer it on. He plucks the open 5th string and then puts his first finger on the 5th string 2nd fret and plucks down again with his thumb, and then alternates between the open 4th string back to the fretted 5th string back to the open 4th string, and that's coming together like before coming back up into the D, striking the low 6th string. So let me play through this one time very slowly. Back into the D chord. And whenever we get into the D chord of the verse, you're really just kind of lightly strumming with the fingernails of your first and second strings, and then keeping rhythm between the open 6th string and the open 4th string. And then the second chord is that. So it's alternating between a D for the verse to, I've got my first finger just on the 2nd string 1st fret, and still keeping rhythm with my thumb, open 6, open 4. And then it does that hammer on again before going back into the D. The way that you do that, hit the open 5th, hit with your 2nd finger the 5th string 2nd fret, and then you're going to hit the open 4th string before going back in the D. Notice that going to that C chord there, it's sort of like a C over D. It's happening on an up note, like a 3 and a 4E and a 1E and a 2E. It's happening on the of 16th notes, as in 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 1E and a 2E, 3E. When we get to the chorus, it's going to be that chord. The way that we're making this chord is James Taylor wraps his thumb around and grabs the 6th string 2nd fret. He actually puts his 2nd finger down on the 4th string, 2nd fret, open 3rd string, and then ring finger down on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string. And you're plucking with your thumb, 6th string, 4th string, 3 string, 2 string. And I'm going thumb 1st, 2nd, 2nd. I think James Taylor probably goes thumb 1st, 2nd, ring with his right hand. But anyway, and then it goes out of this to an A chord. Leave your 2nd finger where it is on the 4th string 2nd fret. Put your ring finger down on the 3rd string 2nd fret, and then strike the open 5th string, then strike up the open, strike down and simultaneously strike up with your 1st and 2nd fingers the open 2nd string into the fretted 3rd and 4th strings. And you're going to hammer on with your 1st finger to the 2nd string 2nd fret. That's the way James Taylor does it. It's kind of a wonky way of fretting this. You can use different fingers if that's easier for you, but then he goes back into this type of an E minor chord, and then back into the A. Sometimes he'll pluck down the A and then hammer on with his ring finger to the 5th string 2nd fret before going back into the E minor. Whenever you're doing that little hammer on, James Taylor also hits the open 1st string. And then, after it repeats that a few times, it goes to B minor 7. The way that the rhythm on this is, so first, how do you play this chord? Bar with your 1st finger across the 2nd fret. Put your ring finger down on the 4th string 4th fret. Your bar will be catching the 3rd string on the 2nd fret. Then put your 2nd finger down on the 2nd string 3rd fret. You're going to strum across all the chords. You're going to pluck across all the chords. And then you come back down to the 5th string 2nd fret, and then pop up, and then hit the low 6th string. And as the 6th string is ringing out, James Taylor then moves to this chord again. There's just 1 finger chord, 1st finger on the 2nd string 1st fret, and then goes before coming back into the D shape again. Basically the intro chords again. And then the last part of the song to learn is this little bridgey part. So he takes the D shape and runs it up 1, 2, 3 frets higher. So your 1st finger is going to be on the 3rd string 5th fret. Ring finger is on the 2nd string 6th fret. 2nd finger is on the 1st string 5th fret. Strum across those chords, or strum across those strings, and really you can strum across them all probably, but mainly just the first 3 strings of the guitar. And then you're going to go to a G chord. The way that he's making this G chord, because we're in drop D, you'll put your ring finger on the 6th string 5th fret. Your 5th string will be muted out by your ring finger. You'll have an open 4th string. You'll have your 2nd finger down on the 3rd string 4th fret, and your 1st finger will be barring strings 1 and 2 on the 3rd fret. And then back to the D chord. And then it's going to walk down from a C. So out of the D chord, your ring finger is going to stay where it's at on the 2nd string 3rd fret. Go with your 2nd finger to the 5th string 3rd fret, So yeah, I was just making sure I'm telling you right. So second finger to the 5th string, 3rd fret. You'll pluck that, pluck the open 4th string, then the open 3rd string, walk down with your 1st finger to the 5th string, 2nd fret. Do the exact same thing, but now you're fretted 2nd fret of the 5th string, open 4th string, open 3rd string, and then move your 1st finger to the 4th string, 2nd fret, and hit the open 5th string and strum across the rest of the strings before it goes back into the main riff. Those are the chords and movements to Country Road by James Taylor. Hopefully this gives you an idea of how to play the song.